Alrighty, welcome ladies and gentlemen to another episode of Smite Super Builds, and today we have Bacchus. It was requested, and Bacchus is being a little bit more popular again since some people are rolling for that Elvis skin with the treasure chest. So, yeah, it's being picked up a little more often. Don't ask me why I have Golden Bacchus, not sure why I have Golden Bacchus, but I do. So let's go ahead and go on with the build. First things first, this build is a combination of majority damage, but we're still pretty beefy in a sense of HP. And Bacchus as a whole is kind of like Ymir. You can have good damage and still be tanky in the same time. It's one of those good guardians like that. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, just looking at his kit overall, if you look at his passive, when his bar is filled up to tipsy, he takes 7% less damage and gains 10 magical power. Then once you get smashed, you take 14% less damage. So once you get to mid to late game and you can start keeping your meter at smashed, boom, you almost always take 14% less damage as a whole. And also when you use your chug, your one, you also gain protections as well. And that lasts for about 5 seconds. So overall, that kind of allows you to get away with being a little bit more mage-like and do more damage. Now, I wouldn't really advise this build in Conquest. It may not work that well, but other game modes, certainly, it could very well work. So, to start off, we have cooldown reduction boots. We have the Shoes of Focus. That way we can keep chugging, so we can keep constantly having those protections going, since this is more of a damage build, and we don't have the greatest protections in this build. And it also allows you to, obviously do more damage and get more belches off, more ultis and everything like that. It's a pretty common thing just for Guardians in general to pick up the Shoes of Focus outside of Conquest. Next we do have, I don't know why I hit that button, we do have Hide the Earthshine as our second item. It's great for bruiser builds, so you get a lot of protections all in one item, so you can save your other item slots for damage items. We get this kind of early so we can fill our stacks early on and get the benefits from it early on. Next we have Magic's Blessing, and the reason why for this, for one, the next three items all have great HP, and we get Ethereal Staff, so we get a lot of benefits from all these HP items here. But Magic's Blessing, so we have this bubble. So the theory behind this is because when you start belching, people are going to freak out because they know they're going to get stunned and a fight's about to happen. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to root you, they're going to stun you, they just want to CC you as soon as you show up in the team fight, especially when you're doing your belch, so you can't stun them. So to prevent that from happening, you pick a Magic's Blessings, especially if you're against Athena, because as soon as you start belching, Athena's just going to taunt you, boom, your belch is done, and then you're vulnerable. So Magic's Blessings really help out for Bacchus in that sense. Next we have Gem of Isolation. I fought an enemy Bacchus the other day, and he had Gem of Isolation. I thought it was a really great idea, because the moment you start using your belch, if that enemy can't CC you, they're going to try to like run away, sprint, or do whatever the situation is. If they sprint, they can avoid the Gem of Isolation if they have the top tier sprint. But mainly it's just for those hasty gods that are trying to outrun you. So as soon as you do the first damage, because the belch is damage over time, the first damage is going to apply that 25% slow from Gem of Isolation, and that way you can get closer and closer to them and they can't really get away, and then it almost guarantees your belch to stun them, of course, if you have the tipsy level on your drunk meter. So that works out really well for that. Also, it also grants you mana to complement the cooldown reduction, since his one is chug, takes up quite a bit of mana, especially early and even sometimes mid-game. Next, we have Ethereal Staff to reap the benefits of all of our HP items that we have here. Ethereal Staff with all these HP items grants us a lot of magical power, and at the same time makes us a little bit more tanky since we have a lot of HP, and also grants us mana to complement, the chug, taking up mana, and our cooldown reduction, and everything like that. So overall, a really great bruiser item for Bacchus. And then finally, we have Rod to Hootie to finish off all of our damage, and here are our stats. As you can tell, my health bar has a lot of lines on it. That's a lot of HP. We have 3,665 HP, 2,000 mana, 448 magical power, 159 physical defense, and 128 magical defense. Now, of course, once you hit chug, we get a lot more protections. We're about we're at 194 on physical and 163 on magical. And keep in mind those defense, like the protections level may seem a little low, but keep in mind of our passive, we take percentage less damage, so that works out pretty well. Now, if you do need to be a little bit more tanky, let's say if you need to be a little bit more tanky against magical gods, you can either switch out like Gem of Isolation or Ethereal Staff, switch those for the Void Stone. It's going to grant you 50 protections for magical and also give you power, and you can also really reap the benefits of the passive aura effect since you're up close mage guardian, so it basically acts as extra penetration. So that's not too bad of an item in itself there. If you need more physical defense, you could probably pick up Mystical Mail or Sovereignty. Those items both work out really well. Same reason with Mystical Mail as the Void Stone, since you're really up close god, you can easily get those 40 magical damage per second ticks to everybody around you with that Mystical Mail, so that works out pretty well there too. So there's other items that I'm not going to go over everything. As far as actives, it's really up to you on how your playstyle is, who you're fighting against, so you can really pick up almost anything here. So we do have the full stack of Hide the Urchin, so let's go ahead and go to Robot. And another thing is we do gain extra mana. We do gain extra magical power on our Toxicate. So if he is smashed, Bacchus also gains magical power buff because he is anger over his lost wine, so up to plus 60. So since we have the cooldown reductions after we do our, our 2-3 setup, he blinds us, whatever, use that, and then our next ability or whatever we want to do, we'll have that extra mana, or magical power rather. So I mean, damage overall is pretty good. If we look at the abilities, his ulti does quite a bit of damage. So that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for the video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.